Hi, everybody. So we wanted this to be pretty casual. I'll do a quick introduction of the panelists. We've got some amazing panelists here to talk to you today, and then we'll open it up for questions. So feel free to, take notes or write down your questions in the middle, and we'll keep it open for everybody. So just a little about me, as John had mentioned, I'm with Athlete Soul. I'm one of the board members there. I myself was a swimmer and a rower at University of Pennsylvania, and I've since had a pretty wide-ranging career, and right now I am an independent consultant kind of leveraging strategy and creativity to create values for companies. So quick introduction of everybody, and then we'll hop into the questions. As Jason mentioned, this is something that we all have kind of said, God, I really wish I had something like this in college as we were retiring, just to see what the options are out there and understand people's paths. So first we've got Martina Zavagno. Martina was a semi-professional basketball player in Italy and former Nike executive. She's currently a career coach and a fractional CMO, which is where we see the world going. As well, she's a writer and working on a book. Next, we've got Desmond Hamilton. Desmond was an All-American jumper and runner at USC. He now he's a product operations manager for TikTok One, and so we're very excited to have Desmond here. And last but certainly not least, we've got Andrew Itekpo. He was a college basketball player, and did I butcher your last name? Okay, sorry. Itekpo. Yes, okay. I asked him right before how to pronounce it. Anyway, so college basketball player, and now entrepreneur and financial advisor, and he has written a book around that, so looking forward to hearing more about that. So I'm going to start kind of along the lines of this is something we wish we had in college, and just throw it out to the panel. What do you wish someone had told you when you were preparing to retire from sport and step into the workforce? And we're just going to make it open, so jump in.
Perfect. Yeah, I would say I was told this, but I also would share it as well, just to really get more and more involved on campus. Take advantage of events, take advantage of clubs, take advantage of different things that are on campus, off campus while you're here, because it's a great chance to network and get plugged in with people and have those connections to reach out to when the timing's right. If you need a phone call for, hey, I'm looking at this career, who do you know that can plug me in and get connected? It's a great opportunity to have those loose ties, as we call it. So that way, when you want to graduate and go to the next career path outside of sports, you're ready for it and have those people to lean on, versus I've seen a lot of teammates in the past, it can be a struggle of we're overly focused on sports, and then at some point we're going to have to retire from it. So the sooner you can be more connected, the better. That's not sure.
Yeah, good answer. I think I would say I wish someone would have told me that that my superpower is not only limited to physical output. There's a lot of soft skills that I learned in sports, and perseverance, resilience, navigating volatile circumstances, teamwork. These are all such good skills in training. I've had some friends who are in the military, for example, and I'll talk to them, and I'm like, the training that you go through, in the military, is very parallel to the training that I've been through as an athlete, right? But the thing is, when you're an athlete, no one's telling you that, hey, this is how to use those skills outside of the physical sport. But it's a very large toolbox of skills there. So I wish someone would have honed in on that and kind of helped me build that toolbox rather than me have to do it on my own.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing I wish someone would have told me, and also would keep reminding me almost every day, is that it's okay to ask for help. Because I've always been I'll figure it out. I am hustler, I'll figure it out. And I've always tried to do a lot of things by myself. And instead, when you have the opportunity to talk to someone, to get someone to help you out, or just offer a different perspective, it's so powerful for you mentally, emotionally, and that is something that I think, as I said, like sometimes I have to remind myself that to this day. Because I think, as Devin said, like a lot of the resilience, you're like, I got this, I can do it. But tap on friends, former teammates, whoever, ask for help. It's okay. It's actually, they will be happy. That's the other thing. People are happy to help. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both, Martina and Andrew kind of touched on this idea of community and building a community, even starting kind of when you're in college to build that community to help you thrive after. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Or maybe, I think in sports we kind of learn how to do it, and even Desmond, what you're talking about, like, through physical output. Is there a way that you guys can recommend to our students, like how can what can you leverage from your sports experience around building community to kind of help take that to the next level?
I think it's connected to sports experience, but overall, I think tap into your curiosity and reach out and ask people, because it's pretty incredible. Like everybody wants to talk about themselves. So if you reach out to someone, this is just you learn. Yeah. So like if you reach out to someone and go like, hey, I'm inspired by your career, I'm curious about your journey, can you tell me more? I would say that 90% of the people will get back to you and say, yes, I'm happy to do that. And so don't be shy with that. I think that is something that you can learn from their experience. Maybe go like, oh, I could take this piece, but I don't like that, and then you go and talk to someone else and get some different inspiration. So I would say, tap into your existing network, extended network. I think they were saying earlier, like, who do I know that can connect me too? So I think use that. It's very powerful, and people want to help. Again, I think we have this vision of the world sometimes a bit negative, but instead, I think I would really say 90% of the people want to be a resource, especially if you guys are young.
Well,
We're gonna do pitfall.
And if you don't have a
no, I do. I just
Yeah.
I didn't want to step over your toes, but I think definitely plus one to that. Building community, when I was an athlete, we would find synergy with people who we had, I would say, physical, and mental, synergy with, right? Like for example, I ran on the relay, and I ran on the relay with Jason, who just spoke, and the way that we exchanged the baton, we have to somewhat be, connected, right? When he's coming in, I got to be able to read how many steps I should give him before I get out. When I should put my hand back, I got to listen for his call. And I think building community outside of sports is not much different. It's just looking for synergy with people you have mental flow with, people who can spark new ideas, people who are willing to receive new ideas. As an athlete, a lot of times I go back to flow, and I flow is always a North Star for me, and I try to find people that I have flow with, and certainly looking for those individuals, and then also being bold, right? I think being an athlete also teaches you that the ego is second, right? Performance is everything, output and impact, it supersedes the ego. The ego doesn't matter if you don't have the performance. So I think, being humble enough to outreach to folks, some may call it being brave, but as an athlete, people will also want to hear your story. You all have a great story to tell, and people should hear it. So a lot of tools for community building.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Again, even on campus, there's so many people to reach out to. Like having one or two professors that you like or that you like better than others, just connect with them, get closer to them, because they're great advocates for you while you're on campus, but after when you graduate. And then, just leaning on the other news connection, maybe it's the admissions office, or just there's always people on campus that like want to cheer you on and support you. And so finding those 1, 2, 3 people that you can stay connected with, and they're going to be there to help uplift you as you move on and go to the next level of things. It's really important just to like kind of create that group of people to be part of your tribe as you continue forward.
Yeah, and I would say use the social media channels, use LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, like really get yourself out there. Like the relationships that I've made throughout my career and when I was in college, it's wild how those relationships boomerang back 10 years later. You're like, oh wow, like actually you have a resource that I might be able to leverage, or someone will reach out to you. And so it's amazing to see how like long lasting those relationships can be. Those are good investments to make for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just kind of building on that, and you know, like you're saying, your presence, your social media presence, and connections that you have that do. I mean, I think we've all probably experienced that. Like they come back, 10 years later, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, this is crazy. So what aspects of your identity as an athlete or personal brand that you had in sports, that you had, you know, when you were in college, did you carry with you or struggle to let go of in the professional world?
I'd say I carry with me the mindset of sports, right? For me, I played basketball, so you know, the physicality and the mindset of attacking, getting better, growing every day. It applies well into sports and well into the real life of working, whether it's a W-2 job or starting your own business. It's the same thing. It's just taking the structure of a early morning workout or afternoon workout or whatever it is, and also practice, and then fitting in classroom time. Like that same structure, you have to create that for yourself once you move on from sports. And so you have to build it yourself because no one's going to do it for you once you leave university. But building that out was huge for me, and then applying it to personal growth, getting better every day, preparing for the day to actually go win the day. So a big part of that for me was like defining, okay, what is a morning routine for me? What does that look like? How do I make sure I'm ready to go take on the world, especially building a business? Like a lot that comes at you, so you really have to build that out and be prepared because multiple things happen. And so it's a big part of it, of taking that mentality of, you know, the game plan with sports, like how are we going to approach this team, or what's the strategy, right? Take that and apply it to the real life, and it really picks up traction.
I think for me, I have one good thing and one bad thing. So the good thing is being a team player, and like you mentioned, it, like there's no ego. So when you go out in the professional world, like the more you can be curious about others, try to understand, even if you're in different business functions, and understand where they're coming from and what is that they need to be successful in their job, and like how can I partner with them. So like being a team player first and foremost will get you definitely far, and that is probably the biggest thing that I took with me is that like we're in this together. Even if you end up in a big corporation where I was, like nobody wins alone. Like you need like at least 50 people that you to touch something, and so that is, I think, the biggest asset that I brought with me in terms of building bridges and bringing different functions and people together. I think the one watch out, and we don't have the same, but like there's a difference between excellence and perfectionism. You can leave perfectionism behind. It's not a goal. It's just it's something that's going to limit you. I think always try to do your best to grow, like this. As Andrew said, of like pushing yourself, but don't try to be perfect because that will destroy you in the long term too much. Like so again, like just keep a healthy competitive spirit with yourself, but don't strive for perfectionism because that's, I think, sometimes we might obsess too much to grow without appreciating the journey is not always straightforward.
Yeah, that really resonates with me too, in the sense of the thing to look out for. Being perfect. I too did struggle with that. I had several managers tell me perfect is the enemy of good, and I had to learn how to just be good and not try and obsess with being perfect. And that took some time. And when I did, I was able to like scale a lot easier at my profession. Some of the things I take with me are definitely, the mental resilience. And I was just talking to Jason about this. I've worked at a lot of different companies, a lot of different large tech companies, and at a lot of doors, people said that I couldn't enter those doors, right? And as an athlete, I love when people tell me I can't do something. I love it. I love it. I get excited about it. It fuels me. It gives me goosebumps. And I think like that mentality is what's enabled me to, one, find a critical path to kick the door down, right? Because you're an athlete, you're like, okay, you told me I couldn't do it. Now I'm going to go do it. And you sit down, you're like, how am I going to do it? Well, I got to put in X hours of work. I got to lift weights. I got to take this protein shake. I don't know what it may be. And then, once you find the critical path, you kick the door down. So, I mean, I've been rinsing and repeating that methodology all throughout my career, and it's been very helpful.
You guys are inspiring me. For me, one of the hardest things to let go of was the physicality. People get competitive. I'll be like, let's take this to the pool. I'm not going to do that at the office. Okay, but these are all amazing responses. So kind of building on that, how would you describe, I'm going to ask you the question, how would you describe the transferable skills of your collegiate athlete to someone in HR or to someone who doesn't have a sports background, who's maybe kind of you're interviewing with, is trying to vet and you're trying to share your story?
Yeah. I would say the soft skills are everything. Like we pick up so many things in sports of accountability, showing up on time, like waking up early, work ethic, being a leader, if you're a captain on the team or a co-captain, listening to your teammate, being there for your teammate, like all those things are soft skills that are applicable to the real world and to a job. And so transferring that, putting that on the resume of accomplishments that you've made or that you've done in sports, even as a team, like, hey, we won the division, we won the title, this is what we did off campus as a team, we volunteered this many hours, we impacted this group, like all those things you should put on the resume, transferable, and people want to see that. I believe as an athlete, and what sports does everyone play, by the way? Like soccer, volleyball, hardball? Tennis. Okay, variety, okay. Golf, okay, very good.
Right.
So I love it. So like applying those to, or adding those to the resume, it's all transferable. And I believe athletes are, like we're already, if we apply what we learned in sports to the real world, right, or working world, we are 90% ahead of others that didn't play sports. That's why I believe, just because of all the hard work, the effort, the energy, the dedication you've made to your sport, it puts you ahead. You just gotta apply it, right? And so I've seen it in my life and with other teammates of mine like that apply it. What I hear right on stage, like it's like when you apply it, you're ahead of the game. So just you're at a faster starting place than most people. So sharing that and quantifying it on a resume goes a far way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, quantifying your accolades, your wins, your championships, quantifying that helps, and it shows, shows that you're a winner, right? The thing is, that can't be all that's there. Like I think combining it with, like leadership traits, like if you were a team captain, or like how did you uplift others, combining it with things outside of sports that partner well with some of the accolades, like maybe you're, you're like a head chair of your sorority or fraternity. I was part of a bunch of programs outside of sports that my sports accolades complemented. I think being performance driven, like that's a big one. Like all these companies care about is performance and impact, and the fact that you're coming in, you're like, performance is my life. This is all I think about is performance. So, you know, speaking into that, like maybe using that and your talking points. And then, yeah, like the soft skills, like being able, like most of you are on team sports. Like I did a so-called individual sport, but it's still very team oriented, like, you know, with the relay races and things of that nature. So yeah, speaking to how you collaborate with others and how you work well with others and how you can share the stage with others and still win. Those are good places to start.
Yeah, no, I think as a boost of confidence, just keep in mind, I'm gonna butcher the number exactly, I can get back to you, but I think 70% of women that are in C-suite spot
That's true.
wear competitive athletes, they wear athletes. So like, that is like a proof of everything this guy just said in terms of like the skills that like you can only learn through sport. And so as you step into the work, just be confident of everything you've learned on the field, on the pitch, whatever sport you play, like it's gonna give you an extra boost. I think the other thing maybe to elaborate on what this guy said is like when you interview, like tell them who you are without saying who you are. So don't say like, oh, I work hard. Just say like I was waking up at 6 a.m. every morning to go to the gym, work out for 2 hours, and then we're going to class, and then I had a job. Because then like you tell the story of your life through what you don't define yourself, like you don't say an adjective about like your talent, but you actually show it through the accolades and like the hard work you put in, or like you were a team captain, or like we were down 5 points in this game and like we came together and like I did this, or like I supported the team, whatever it is, like it is just tell a story when you interview, when you connect with others, because that would be much more impactful than saying like I am this. Share it with the story of what you have achieved in sport.
Yeah, I love the storytelling and this idea of impact, and especially one thing you mentioned, Andrew, was around, you know, even community impact, like playing your sport for the university, that has a huge community impact, right? And creating a communal engagement. So I love this idea of kind of sharing that through story. Can we get into the nitty gritty of how they can maybe quantify or illustrate it on a resume? You know, would you guys recommend putting it, you know, often I see it kind of in the tail end of with your school. Would you recommend kind of putting it as a job or something kind of more to the forefront?
I think so. I mean, I've seen a lot of resumes. we're hiring right now, so I've seen a lot recently. But yeah, I think it's something to be proud of, and telling the story behind it, as we just mentioned, is huge. And so, you know, adding that to, again, like the hours put in, or to me, anytime I see someone like, oh, you worked out at 5 a.m. for 4 years straight for a sport, it's like, oh, that's dedication right there. That person can show commitment to this new job, this new goal. So putting that on there in I guess, an eloquent way is a great way to show it. But especially like the team accolades, or we won, you know, these different things, or again, community service involved with that. Those are all things that people want to see. I think most employers understand if you're graduating, there's not going to be that much work experience, but your sport is a job. It's a lifetime job you've had for multiple years, and so that goes a long way, again, just ahead of someone that didn't play a sport, maybe they just hung out all 4 years and did like one thing on campus. It's like you're automatically, in my eyes, going to be ahead of that person, the dedication you've had.
Yeah, I think you have tools like at the top of the resume, just the executive summary, and just say like I did this, played competitive sport, whatever, or like as you, if I don't know if we still send like letters, cover letters. Some people want them to know, but just like use it again as an opportunity to talk about yourself and what you've done. Like just listing like you played sports. It's such a, I think again because now people are starting to understand the power of having an athlete on the roster. Because then, I mean, obviously I was at the company where like probably 50% of maybe more of the employees are former athletes in some capacity. But people understand the value of what the extra soft skills you're going to bring, as we were talking about. And so, like, just don't be shy about saying what sport you play. And then as you go through the interview process, like, you can talk about the time you messed up and what did you learn from that situation. I think the growth mindset that you naturally have as an athlete is super helpful. Or like if you had an injury, how did you recover? Or like you were not a top player on your team, but you were every day on the bench or practicing and supporting the team. That is like invaluable. Like not everybody's a rock star, not everybody's gonna be like the next CEO or whatever, but like you are all amazing, contribute so much. Don't be shy about telling whatever side of your story, your personal story.
Yeah, totally. I think having it in your resume, especially early in your career, is advised, and to not be like shy about your accomplishments, making sure that bullet fits into the overarching narrative of what you're delivering to whoever's on the other side, right? Like it can't just stand alone, or it should fit into a cohesive story. And a lot of the things we've already talked about are like they'll match with any recruiter, right? And then I think I think it's very like strategic how you mention it later, like in your career. Like for me, I've had a lot of experience, professional experiences, right? So I don't highlight it too heavily, but I do make sure that's the last line on my resume. NCAA, Division I, track and field, All-American, all that stuff. Just so like you start with something that that's good, and then the recruiter will end with that, and that'll shape their perception of who you are. So there's strategy in how you mention it and how you highlight it, but certainly highlight it. Having that recommendation.
I love that. So I want to hear more about your guys' experience kind of in that. So was there a moment when you realized, that your athletic experience was a true asset in your career? Would love to hear that story.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my specific journey. I mean, there's 2 points. I think the first point is when I got injured in college, like right after I qualified for the Olympic trials. I got injured and hurt my lower back, and couldn't squat weights again. So I knew I would never jump 26 feet again because I can't squat anything. I can't lower my back. I can't get the
26 feet.
Yeah.
All American.
Yeah.
Just dropping that there.
That's over the resume. Yes.
I guess the storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what's that?
Sorry.
Once I got hurt, I knew that I needed to still get value out of USC, so I transitioned. I kind of took a lot of that focus, a lot of that energy, a lot of that motivation, and I focused it on my academics. And I think that was the first time I discovered that like all the work ethic, getting up early, like studying in the library, putting in the hours to get the return, like figuring out how to learn this information related to like accounting and economics, working with peers, study groups, all the stuff I was doing on the track translates in the classroom as well. And after that, there was just this aha moment, and I took that and launched into a bunch of careers with that thereafter. The second time was when I started my career off in accounting, and then I did that for some time, and then eventually went to work for Electronic Arts, where I was doing financial audit for game development studios. And then in that, we needed to start auditing game development processes, like how these studios make games, and all the other accountants had challenges with moving away from the financial statements, the balance sheet, and started to think about content development and how you even approach auditing content development or game development. And for some reason, I had a natural appetite for working with game developers, taking this finance audit methodology and applying it to software development. And I think the creativity, and we talked about this earlier, like a lot of the creative cerebral processing to do that came from the skills that I built when I was an athlete. So And I kind of been riding that muscle out throughout my entire career. So yeah, that's certainly when I realized that, oh, like this athlete stuff is more than just being an athlete. It's actually a whole operating system that I can use to navigate.
I would say for me, so my dad, growing up, my dad would always tell me, my dad played soccer in college. Probably the fastest person I've ever met. I played soccer, but basketball was my main sport. But he'd always tell me to get involved and do things outside of sports and find a hobby or two. And he was always pushing that on me. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, whatever, Dad. Yeah, I can probably, I'm going pro, right? But then I got hurt in high school. I fractured my finger, I had to get surgery, but after that, the big injury was my Achilles. I ruptured my Achilles. Senior year in high school, it was tough, really tough. But during that time, I had to figure out and maybe rethink everything. Like, can I even go to college now and play? What is this all going to look like? And so I really took my dad's advice at that time of like, I should probably look at other things. It's helped me cope with the injury and the recovery. It's a long recovery with the Achilles, and so I got involved. I wrote like music, sort of listening to more music, playing piano, kind of all these other things, and that helped widen my horizons just in general. I thought I became a more interesting person versus just like basketball. And then it helped me in college. Again, as I went to college and ended up playing, but at the same time, I had the new habit of just getting involved and meeting people. And actually, funny story, my freshman year, my dad dropped me off to college and he went around and signed me up for like 8 different clubs on campus. Like, just put my name down. Just like, so people were calling me like, hey, like, you're coming to the club, this club event tomorrow. I'm like, how do you have my number? Like, what's going on? And then my dad didn't tell me until later. But so all of a sudden I'm showing up to these events because they have my info. And I don't want to like not show up, right? So, but it was a great way to get me plugged in, right? And I got connected to all types of different people, and now all of a sudden I knew all types of different parts of campus, right? And different hobbies, different things going on, and so it really helped me become more well-rounded throughout my college years because I had that injury where I was like, man, now going pro, you see that start to dwindle a bit, and so I played in college, but I was okay with, if I don't go pro, I can do other things, and I'm feeling good about it. So that was the main thing of just starting that habit of getting involved, finding other passions and interests. And it could be fully in sports, but like what part of sports, right? Is it in management? Is it in Asian? Is it financial planning? Like it could be anything, but like starting to explore that early really helps. Get you more established going forward.
So it's almost like that injury kind of made you more agile in a sense, and like going through that. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. Interesting.
I always say my injury, at the time it was like, oh, I'm trying to go to the 2008 Olympics, and now I can't. I was very depressed, I would say, because everything I had worked for, I finally almost got there and it was like, it was gone. But at the same time, I would say that was probably a blessing in disguise, probably one of the greatest things that has happened to me, because it was a forcing function to start to explore myself outside of the sport. And yeah, that's when I really learned about who I was, actually, once I started that journey outside of the sport. So yeah, I would recommend, don't wait to get injured. Like, you don't need to get injured to start on the journey,
Talking about, my light bulb went off quite a few years into my career when I was like, I was doing so Nike, when you start managing people, they have a program that you go through, and it's called Managing for Gold, because obviously Nike brands everything in internal education. And so going through the exercises, and one of the questions they ask you is who are you? Describe who you are as a leader. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, and I'm like, I was a point guard. That's how I show up every day as a leader, because I'm driving the ball, and I have the vision of the court, and it's my job to understand if I'm going to serve and assist, take the shot, like how am I gonna manage the game, the pace of the game? That's who I am as a leader. But I'm also like the first one to cover for defense. If something goes wrong, it's my responsibility. I'll take that responsibility. I'm there to motivate my teammates. And so I know it's kind of like sometimes I laugh because it always takes me a minute usually in life to understand that and going like, oh, I don't have to think about it. This is like who I am from when I was 9 years old fundamentally. And so that applied so much in like how I really approach my career moving forward as a leader of a team.
That's so cool. I love that. Just like envisioning you. All right, I think we have a couple more questions and then we'll open it up to everybody. So how did your competitive drive as an athlete help or hinder you in your early professional years?
And for me, it was everything. It was the gas, the fuel to tank in the car. I was in a foreign domain. I was working at Ernst & Young, this huge accounting firm, very prestigious. If I didn't, the competitive drive is what enabled me to put in the work to learn, kind of rapidly learn and to compete, quote, no pun intended, but, to compete against my colleagues who didn't play sports when they were in college, and a lot of them were groomed. Parents were CFOs or whatever. The competition is what enabled me to kind of sit down, be disciplined, and figure out how to land on my feet. So that way I could produce and I could show up and stand next to these other folks, right? And feel proud about it. It's the engine. I mean, for me, it still is. It still is my engine, my competitive factor.
Yeah, I translated, just the sport itself, but the sport of life, like just the same drive, the same work ethic to be the best, to the best I can be. So just it translated into that. It helped me get more money out of my first job that I got offered. Like I went back to the recruiter and I was like, hey, can they give me more money? Like, I want more, right? And so went back and forth, and they came back and said,
negotiation skill.
We can offer more. I'm like, oh, cool. I felt like I was worth more, right? So that's the competitive side of like, I knew my work ethic and what I was bringing to the table, and so that was early on. But yeah, just for me, it was just the drive of like, creating a new routine, creating a new habit, learning, reading, building my mindset, my mind, and all those things. It took a little dip from the gym, right, and then get back into it, right? but that's all part of it. Just keep the competitive energy flowing.
My answer is boring because it's exactly the same. Like just the hard work. Like I remember I was in my hometown and I really wanted to go out there in the world and learn digital marketing and whatnot. So it was like the last 2 years of my professional, semi-professional career. I literally was working 8 hours per day, and I was jumping on my scooter, going to practice for 2 hours, coming home and blogging about advertising for 2 or 3 hours every day. And that was like every single day. And it was just normal for me. That was the game, I guess. And so the hustle, and at some point you go like, oh, I gotta take care of myself. So okay, maybe slow down. But I think if you're passionate about something, it's okay to put a lot of energy, especially in the beginning, because yes, progress happens when you put effort, when you prepare or take up the challenges the same way you would do when you play sport. So
All right, I'm going to ask our final question, and then we're going to open it up. So, if you could offer one mindset shift or mantra to someone who's preparing to take off the jersey, if you will, or retire from sports, what would it be?
I would say, don't disregard your athletic identity. Because I think everybody's journey is different when you come out of sport. You either go I don't want to touch a basketball ever again in my life because I was so over it. It was such a big part of my life. But then a few years back, and I go I'm an athlete. That's who I am. I always will be that. And so everything we talked about in terms of the soft skills, that doesn't change who I am as a person. And obviously, you can have different identities, be a friend, a coworker. There is a lot, but don't, if you can, like hold on to something precious that you've built for yourself, and don't think that like you have to move on from what has been 15, 20 years of your life. I think it is something so powerful that you nurtured in yourself, so embrace it moving forward and know that you need to grow from there.
Love it. I mean, that fits right into my mantra, which is more than an athlete, but always an athlete. And I think one, defining what an athlete is in your own head, like it's, and you know, I love when LeBron, they told him to shut up and dribble or something like that. And then, like the things that he has done after that have been, you know, phenomenal. And that's all like off the court, his businesses, his philanthropic, you know, endeavors. So I think you know, defining what it is to be an athlete, and that's the mental, that's the competitive nature. That's what happens when you get into flow, right? Like as an athlete, when you reach flow, crazy things happen. That's all I gotta say. And the reason why I say, you know, but always an athlete is because I know when I first got done with sport, I kind of removed myself from the identity because I wanted to build a different identity. So it's almost like, you know, like you said, you put the basketball down, you didn't have anything to do with it. I couldn't even watch the Olympics. I couldn't watch track and field for a long time because I was shaping this new identity. But as the years went on, I realized that, I'm still an athlete. I'm still doing the same things. I'm still using the same toolbox. And matter of fact, this toolbox is probably my most valuable asset. So, it feels good to come back to the identity. You know, always an athlete. So more than an athlete, but always an athlete.
I would say mine's a two-part, but one is just the importance of gratitude as you're transitioning, like just being appreciative of all your experiences, what you've gone through, what you've learned from it, and just taking time to show yourself gratitude for the new things in life, because there will be adjustments. And then life's happening for you, not to you. And so again, as an athlete, we're so used to controlling things, right? And what's happening or how we're impacting things in the game or practice or workout routine. So same thing after sports. It's like there's so many things that are thrown your way, but like remember, like you're in control. It's happening for you. You create the life that you want. You create the lifestyle you want, the things you want. So go out and make that happen. Take action. It's happening for you. It's not happening to you. That's what I would share.
That's amazing. Okay. I don't know about you guys. I'm super inspired right now. I'd like to open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us, because I'm starting to get into like a place where I'm trying to find internships and stuff, so I really appreciate it. My question is, I've been applying to a lot of jobs for summer internships like for the past 6 months, and it's been really hard to kind of get like emails back and to stand out. And so do you guys have any advice for like steps I should take, or people I can reach out to, or like if I should email people or message people on LinkedIn? Like, do you guys have any advice for how to secure a good internship?
What type of internship are you looking for?
In the business sector, like marketing, business development, things like that.
Well, I mean, my first advice would be to not like when those rejection auto emails come into your inbox, don't look at them. Applying for a job is a numbers game, so you're going to get, I would say, not a high volume of rejections, but you should expect some rejections. And those things, if you pay too much attention, they'll play on the mental psyche, and you'll start to think that you're not the shit, when really you are. And the other thing is, like any human entry point outside of these traditional application flow will always help. Like you can add me on LinkedIn, Desmond Hamilton. Look through my network. If you see someone in like a field or company that you want, reach out to me. I'll reach out to them. set up a one-on-one chat, see what happens organically from there.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, any way you can like talk to a human to get the inroad is always helpful. Whether it's a LinkedIn message or whether it's a phone call. Sometimes just an informational interview can lead to an opportunity. Like, hey, I just want to learn more about this function. I'm really interested in this company. Do you mind just spending 15 minutes? Tell them. You mind spending 15 minutes just to talk. Really, you get on the phone with them. You take them to half an hour. And I really enjoyed you. Add me on LinkedIn and message me. But those, like that's the advice that I would give. Like that's how I got probably maybe like 60% of my jobs that come through that channel.
I would also say, I'm sure you probably have some ideal company you want to go for, but like, don't try to go only for the big jobs or the big names, because like sometimes as an intern in those companies, like you don't do that much. Like maybe your learning experience, because people are busy with their own life and the craziness of a big corporation, so they might not spend. It's a hit or miss. You might find valuable experiences, or you might be just there like, okay, I spent 3 months and I did nothing. So if you go in like smaller workplaces, you're probably going to do absolutely everything. You're going to learn from like bringing coffee to your manager to presenting to the CEO of like the group. And so don't discount like getting in with something that might look smaller or not as prestigious. Like just get in, start playing, and then you can also learn like, I really don't like marketing. I love business development. It's also a way to test yourself. So don't be too, I wouldn't say ambitious, but like don't just aim high. Aim for something that will give you a great experience.
This is great. I'm going to echo a little bit of also what Desmond said about making the human connection, and also kind of what we were talking about when we started around building community, like trying to leverage that, leveraging alumni networks, and then, hey, can we just have a quick 15-minute conversation? Like, I think I've got 90% of my jobs through people and through connections. I think kind of the electronic applying, that works for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody, and especially when you have a deeper connection, like that's really gonna help.
Yeah, all these companies have humans. They're all just ran by people. So the people connection supersedes everything. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
I was just saying, definitely. I would just echo everything that was just said. My first internship was a small insurance brokerage company, and no one knew about it. And I did everything from drive the owner's Lexus to get a car wash like every week to call. I learned from him side by side, but I did everything, right? But like, it was a great internship, and I found out I don't like being behind the scenes. I want to be more in front of people, and so it's a great experience. But sometimes with the bigger companies, it's like that's all you do is just like grab coffee, right? So you never know. So that's good advice. And then it's all human connection. So if someone remembers your name and your face, if you met them somewhere, or a quick call, and you can say, hey, by the way, I also applied for this position. That can move your resume all the way to the top. Like, oh, I liked her. She was great. We had a good conversation. All right, so that's just great advice.
Sorry.
I would say an athlete as well too, and I've interviewed thousands of people. And I would just say also reach out to your small businesses around campus in Irvine who you're like, oh, I love that boba tea shop, but they could use some marketing on social media. Can I offer 10 hours a week of help, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super valuable. And also, my first job out of college, I got it from my dad. So use your parents, use your aunts, your uncles. Who do you know that's hiring, or who do you know that needs help? Or can you just connect me with someone in this field? That goes a long way too. So always use your parents too. Yeah. Thank you.
What was your name and what sport?
Jasmine Chen. I play golf.
Okay.
I'm a junior.
Awesome.
A junior?
Junior, yeah.
Yeah, I got my first job through Inroads, and I think it's for sophomores. But if any of you are sophomores, Inroads is a great pipeline program for first jobs. Our MLT, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, I was also part of that. So any of those pipeline programs that support you post college, next play join those courses for sure.
Hi, I'm Chanel. I'm also on the last call. I also really appreciate all the
being in your respective fields is something you always set out to do, or maybe explore other options? Was it something you stumbled upon, or I was wondering how you kind of balance like doing something you want to do while also not wasting time and like money, precious doing.
I gotta say, it's hard to know what you want to do. I think, like, try to see what your values are and what you like in a broader sense, and it's totally fine to try different things. Like, I would say, don't put on yourself the pressure of like, I am graduating and the day after I graduate, I want to know exactly what I want to do. Because there is a lot of test and learn, like we all did. I mean, I knew that I loved writing and communication, but there are 55 million jobs in that space. And then as I started doing a little bit of journalism, I'm like, not really my thing. And so then I kind of like, it's a journey. So don't be hard on yourself. I would say is the biggest. Yeah, explore the option and start playing around with things and understand what you like and like commit. I mean, once you try, don't do like, oh, I'm doing a week of this and then I jump to the next one, obviously. But like, put some effort and then you go. Like a year later, you go like, yeah, not really my thing. It's okay. Yeah, don't put the expectation on yourself to figure it all out right away.
Thank you.
And Tanya,
Yeah.
I also think, this is going into your first job. There is no like ideal scenario. Like none of us started with the best job as the first job. So I think like try things. Like this is the time to experiment and figure out. Like I feel like it takes everybody quite a few attempts, just like you're doing your sport. So you like Martina said, like just go and play it. Because most likely you will not be in a job that is the perfect job and the perfect match, but most likely you will also discover what you don't like. And it will help you like refine the funnel a little bit as you move forward. And it's kind of like what you do in sport. Like, you start with generic skills and eventually you sort of narrow it down. So, makes some sense.
Make a list too. Like I was at a crossroads for a long time and just figuring out what I wanted to do. And different paths I felt like I was interested in, but I didn't know which one to do next. And so I just made this long list of like, okay, I'm thinking about going into sports. Like, what do I like about sports world that I would enjoy? Like, write pros and cons of that. I have a friend, one of my best friends, who I live with. He lives in Southeast Asia. Like, an opportunity was like, go move out there and like join his dad's business. I wrote down pros and cons about that. Finance world, pros and cons. So like, make those lists and just like help you weigh things out. And then I started like crossing things out. All right, I don't like this that much. I just thought it looked cool, but maybe not, right? Like, so that'll help you just nail things down as well as you're going through that process.
Yeah, the same. Piggyback off what everyone said, and yeah, like I think testing and learning is really important. Like I know I didn't know what my passion was. I still don't know. Maybe 10 years later, I could have a whole different passion. I'm continuously growing and evolving. I think being open to different things, testing and learning, putting the effort in, like being an athlete and giving 100% to whatever you do, and then you will, once you feel synergy with something, and also open your mind and be curious, and continue the learning journey, and then you will, once you catch momentum in a particular place, then you can lean into it. I know I started my career off in accounting, and now I'm in digital marketing. And if you would ask me 5 years ago, did I want to get, would I be in digital marketing or social media? I probably would have said no. So yeah, I think the curiosity is important, and then following your heart. Can't really lead you wrong. But your passion is an interesting word. I think passion. I'm passionate about the beach, right?
Well, that's
I get paid to sit on the beach, but no, I mean, I'm ultimately passionate about content creation, and I think I work at TikTok, and that is content, but I work within a marketing organization. So, I mean, sometimes I feel like the passion can be kind of second, and you can fit it into maybe a more stable, like box or bucket that will actually pay you like and be able, you be able to provide for your family, etc. So a little bit of passion matched with stability, that balance. It's
I
kind
feel
of
like that's where things get hard. You kind of have to choose between like a stable financial job versus like maybe chasing something you're a little bit more passionate about.
But I think sometimes that's part of the learning
Yeah.
process, and one of the things, Martina mentioned was values, because I personally, and we can talk after, I have flip-flopped a lot between super creative, passionate jobs and very structured, to your point of like, okay, the super creative is fun, but am I gonna make money at this versus, okay, actually now I need to make some money, so let me go down this path. But I do think understanding your values and even like, hey, what do I love about golf? Is there something there that I can leverage and kind of transfer into a career? Maybe it's, and understanding that, hey, what industries are out there that could actually do this? Like, we have way more options than we think about. When I graduated college, where I went to school, it was like, you either were an investment banker, a consultant, maybe a trader, and that's it, right? But there are 135 industries, so many growth industries out there. There are options once you kind of like dig into what are my values, like what do I want to experience again, and it is I'm still learning this about me, right? And I love working on teams, and I think that was something from being in sports, and it's like, okay, I need to like definitely go down that path, so yeah, that's helpful as well. Yeah. All right, how's everybody doing? Got another question.
This is kind of towards Andrew. I know you mentioned you were an entrepreneur, so I was just thinking, like, what would be one piece of advice you would say to someone that wanted to get into the entrepreneurial world?
Yeah, it's I think you gotta have structure. You gotta create that athletic structure with it to be able to. I know people that they're an entrepreneur, but they're just hanging out right now. They don't do anything with it, but like you gotta create some structure around what you're trying to build and do, and treat it like a 9 to 5, and treat it like your sport. And yeah, I think that's going after like the passion conversation of like everyone in this room is young, and so like you can take some leaps, take some chances on the passion and chase it, and that's the entrepreneur side of like if you're really enjoying and wanting to do it, like go after it. Like you never know what it can turn into, and so a lot of times now is the time to do it and take action on it. So I would say like don't let others discourage you from it, because you're going to get a lot of that. Why would you want to do that? Go to 9 to 5 or go do corporate. It's like, no, like lean into it, chase it, do your research. But the time is now to take action on it.
And what was your name and what sport?
Elijah Suzanne plays soccer.
Nice. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I think Miriam wanted to close us out, and we will be here if you want to come chat with us after.
Yeah, look us up on LinkedIn if you want to connect.
Yeah.
Just send a note, let us know. Yeah.
Yeah.